Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a Palkia VSTAR with Kyurem VMAX deck list. This is definitely a deck that has potential to be really good, and I do think it's going to be a very strong deck going into the next format. Kyurem has a lot of advantages, one of when it kills, but also some other stuff I will get into. And Palkia and Kyurem both synergize really well. So starting off with a 2-2 line of Palkia VSTAR, which this deck is going to be a lot like the Palkia Ice Rider deck that is good in Standard right now. However, we're playing Kyurem VMAX instead of Ice Rider because I think Kyurem VMAX is a little bit better. And yeah, so we have a 2-2 line of the Palkia. And this card is just so good. So space well, water, dealing 60 damage, and 20 more for each bench Pokemon both players have. And then the V-Star power attaching 3 water energy cards for discard pile 3 water Pokemon. Really strong card. It not only does it hit high damage pretty quickly and for an efficient amount of energy, but it's also, if your opponent doesn't manage their bench well, you can punish them hard because this thing will just take knockouts if your opponent is not managing their bench. It's an insanely good card. So something we've already seen be good in Standard now. But the new card that's coming out that we're featuring in this deck is Kyurem VMAX, which does have an ability that is pretty good. I believe it's called Glaciated World. It says once on your turn, you can discard the top card of your deck, and if it's a water energy, you attach it to one of your Pokemon in play. So pretty decent ability. We do play a Primate Wisdom Morangaroo, so we can stack the top card of our deck with a water energy. So this ability can be really good at just getting us a couple more energy and can allow us to play fewer Melanies and make our deck a little bit less clunky. So self-acceleration already is good. Obviously, we've seen self-acceleration being insanely good with Palkia, obviously, but a little bit more acceleration from the Kyurem VMAX is also really good. Then we also have the attack here. I'm not sure what it's called because I do have a Japanese proxy, but it's for triple water. You deal 120 damage, and you discard any amount of water energy from this Pokemon, and it does 50 more for each one you discard. So if you discard 3 water energy from Kyurem VMAX, you're hitting 270, which is really good because with the Galarian Zigzagoon or Choice Belt, that is going to be 280 or 300 damage respectively, which is very good, obviously, for taking 1 OHKOs. And said this deck is very similar to the Ice Rider Palkia deck that is good in Standard right now. Kyurem is just like the counterpart to Ice Rider in that it's just a VMAX that can take knockouts and also isn't weak to lightning, which is really nice. The other thing that this Kyurem is good at is the Guillotine of V-Star, which hits 280. But they've already used their V-Star power. It's going to be very hard for them to take down a Kyurem VMAX because Kyurem VMAX is 330 HP. It's pretty bulky. So against Giratina or even like Goodra, obviously, it's also pretty good because you can hit infinite damage with the Kyurem, so you can 1-KO Goodra if you need. Really good card. And it's just pretty good. And also just sometimes just having triple water for 120 is nice for being able to finish off things with Subspace Wall and threaten a knockout almost guaranteed next turn. So Kyurem VMAX is really good, and I also have, of course, 2 copies of Kyurem B. I actually do have the real Kyurem Bs because I got those out of 1 kit. So I got 2 Kyurem Bs. Anyway, next we are going to be playing this with Inteleon. So we have actually only 3 copies of Sobble. Now, 3 copies of Sobble is something that we saw in the NAIC winning straight Palkia list. NAIC second place straight Palkia list. And I wasn't a huge proponent of the triple Sobble opposed to quad Sobble. I really just thought, why are you playing 3 Sobble when you can play 4 and hit them more often turn 1? But in this deck specifically, I do think 3 Sobble is fine because we actually do have Primate Wisdom Morangaroo, which we do. It's pretty important to our strategy. Primate Wisdom Morangaroo serves a lot of purposes in this deck. And so you're kind of like taking the 4 Sobble and kind of turning it into a Orangaroos because Orangaroo is something we usually want to have on the bench. And if we have 3 Sobbles, we're not going to have room for that Orangaroo because we want to have Greninja, 2 attackers, 2 Sobbles, and Orangaroo. Ideally, that is our ideal board state. And of course, going along with the 3 Sobbles, we have 3 Drizzile, of course, and then just 1 copy of Shady Dens. I believe this is the same line that Isaiah played in the second place Palkia list from NAIC. But getting into some of the other one of Pokemon, we have 1 copy of the Primate Wisdom Morangaroo, like I mentioned, which has the ability Primate Wisdom. Once on your turn, you can swap the top card of your deck with a card in your hand. which obviously can get not only water energy on top of our deck for our glaciated world with the Kyurem VMAX, but also it can Marnie proof us, so we can put like a level ball on top of our deck, so it's what the heck am I saying? Impossible for us to get Marnie into a dead hand, which is something that Falcon kind of struggles sometimes with, is that Marnie is pretty good against Inteleon decks sometimes, but so Ranger can help us with that. If we're worried about getting our really good hand Marnie away, we can serve a piece of that hand. Also, if our opponent Roxanne's us, we only get 3 cards after the 2 cards from Roxanne draw for turn. We only get 3 cards, and then they can also Path of the Pika, so we can't use Radiant Greninja's Concealed Cards ability. However, nothing can, except for Weezing, Glaring Weezing, which is not a very common card in Standard, at least right now. Maybe next format will be. Go check out my video on that. There's nothing really that can effectively shut off Primate Wisdom, so this effectively against Roxanne can be a really nice way to dig an additional card, so it kind of can turn a Roxanne into a Marnie, kind of, if that makes sense. Ranger has a lot of uses, really good card. It also can technically attack against Miltank. It's not a good attacker, we'd much rather be attacking with our Shady Dealings and Inteleon against Miltanks, but colorless for 70, whap down is like fine if we really have to use it. Hopefully we won't be though. Then we have 1 copy of Radiant Greninja, because Radiant Greninja is a insanely busted, broken, all the above, a good card, allowing us to discard an energy card from our hand, draw 2. Really good, as well as the attack Moonlight Shuriken, choosing 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, dealing 90 damage to both of them. Really good if your opponent's not protected against it using Manaphy, and you can kind of just catch some board states off guard with the Moonlight Shuriken. Really insanely good card. Then 1 copy of Galarian Zigzagoon. So like I mentioned, the Kyurem VMAX's attack does hit 270, and Galarian Zigzagoon can ping us right to that 280 mark we really want to be at for Giratina, for Palkia, for Arceus. So Galarian Zigzagoon really good. And then 1 copy of Manaphy as well, because Manaphy is good against opposing Radiant Greninjas. Obviously, we do not want to get our Sobbles Moonlight Shuriken, just like we want to Moonlight Shuriken others Sobbles. Going to supporters, we have 3 copies of Irida. Instead of the usual 4s, because Ranger can kind of help us smooth out some of the early game inconsistencies that this deck can have. But also, we're only running 3 Irida because we're running a higher Melanie count than some Palkia lists at 3. And this is because Melanie is super important for powering up our Kyurem VMAX. Other than our Glaciated World and Star Portal, we have no amazing way of powering up 3 energy. 3 energy can feel kind of awkward to attack, to get onto our Kyurem and attack with. So having 3 Melanies, really good, something I've really liked having in the list. And then we have 1 copy of Roxanne, just because it's an insane comeback card, allowing you to come back from almost any situation, it feels like. Then we have 1 copy of Boss's Orders, of course, because we are playing Cross Switchers along with the Irida. So we don't need too many copies of Boss, because Boss is once again, a really good card, so we're running 1 of it. Item cards for Quick Ball and for Battle VIP Pass, kind of standard, I feel like, for Palkia lists now in Standard. Currently, maybe some of them going down to the 3 or 2 Quick Ball, but this one something I really like for Palkia is I want to be able to set up as much as possible, and playing 3 Quick Ball or 2 Quick Ball feels really bad. Like, why am I only playing 2 of these and bricking when I could play 4 of them and not brick? That's kind of always a view I've had. I've always really not liked the 2 or 3 Quick Ball in Palkia. So we're running the 4 Quick Ball, 4 Battle VIP Pass, as well as 4 copies of Cross Switcher. As our Gusting I mentioned, we only have 1 copy of Boss, and then 4 the Cross Switches as well. We can grab with Irida. We can basically turn our Irida into a Boss if we need it. Really good. 3 copies of Scoop Up Nets, because not only do we have to Scoop Up Net our Inteleons and Inteleon lines, mainly because we actually only have a 3 line, so if we want to reuse Shady Dealings, we have to Scoop Up Net it. But also having to reuse Zigzagoon potentially another time after we put it down originally. So we're just playing an extra net for that, just because Galarian Zigzagoon is a little bit more important than in the regular straight Palkia list. Then we have 2 copies of Capacious Bucket to search out our energies, 2 copies of Level Ball to search out our basics, 2 copies of Evolution Incense for evolutions, and this is pretty much just like standard Palkia. I feel like a lot of Palkia lists now have kind of reverted to the 2 Level Ball, 2 Evolution Incense routes. 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball, because this can help us grab our Ranger out of the prizes. Actually, one of the only reasons we're playing 1, because we can grab it out of the prizes. If our opponent takes a turn to boss knockout on the Rangaroo, that's really going to be good for our tempo. If they're not hitting our V-Star or VMAX for a turn, we really don't mind if they knock at the Rangaroo. So just playing one Rangaroo and the Heavy Ball as well to get out of the prizes if we need, but can also find like our second Kyurem or second Palkia also is pretty important. I've actually considered playing just 2 Palkia V and 3 Palkia V-Star because having another Palkia V-Star ready to go, because sometimes you want to save that V-Star power for your Kyurem till the last moment possible to kind of set up checkmate. Because like maybe if you're going in with Palkia before you're attacking with Kyurem, that Palkia is obviously going to get knocked out, and then you won't have access to Star Portal. Setting up a second Palkia is pretty important. We have this Hisuian Heavy Ball to get the Palkia V out of the prizes, but if we actually prize our second Palkia V-Star as well, there's no way to get that out of the prizes. So I considered playing a third Palkia V-Star as well as 2 Palkia Vs to go along with Heavy Ball. And our tool card is 1 copy of Choice Belt that can allow our Kyurem to hit 300 if we need. Specifically against Arceus and Inteleon, which does have 310 HP with a Big Charm, you can just go Choice Belt, Suzuki, and knock out a Arceus V-Star that has a Big Charm on it. Stadiums, 2 copies of Training Court this time instead of just 1, because Path is a little bit more annoying for us because we actually do have a Rulebox ability that we want to use more than once. Usually we just play 1 Path counter Stadium in Palkia decks because we just have 1 turn we want to use a Rulebox ability. Or like, you have Greninja obviously, but like it feels really bad to go through a game without using Star Portal. And sometimes you lose games simply because you get Path and you can't use Star Portal. So having a second one so we can also take advantage of the Glaciated World when we need is also good. Also getting Water Energy out of our prize cards as well. Or sorry, out of our discard pile after something gets knocked out, or if we discard them with Kyurem's attack, we can just get it right back out of the discard pile, Ranger it to the top, and accelerate it with the Kyurem. Really, really nice. But we still have 1 copy of Path, because Path Roxanne is insane against Mew, and Mew is definitely one of Palkia plus Water VMAX's hardest matchups. Then Energy, we are still running the standard 7 basic Water Energies that a lot of Palkia lists play right now. And I've considered going up to 8th. I've also considered adding a 3rd bucket as well. But yeah, this could be the list. Definitely a really, really strong option heading into Lost Origin. I'm excited to see how this deck does because obviously I love Palkia. Palkia has definitely become one of my favorite decks ever. And just having another way to play it with this cool VMAX Pokemon. Kyurem's a really cool Pokemon with a pretty good card. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I do videos like this all the time. Yeah, that's going to do it. I'll see you guys in the next one.